podcast, I think of strangers who magically become friends, live, on camera, and off camera.
For a community of friends, like-minded people who are open and are here to share ideas about how we can be better as a people as a whole.
And give a safe place for
if anybody is looking for a podcast, I love it. It's inspirational, it's ingenious, and it unifies us as a whole, as people. Better me equals a better we.
A better me equals a better we.
All right, there we go. Welcome back, y'all, to another episode of the Better Me Equals a Better We podcast. I am your host, Trey. Um, in this particular instance, I know I always say I'm super excited to be back with y'all, and I am really hyped to do this episode. But this is under tragic circumstances, right? I'm just gonna come right out there and say that, like, this is really under tragic circumstances. Um, we had another episode planned for today. It was like totally left field, but as you guys know, whether you're in the New York City area, it's to the point where even the president did a briefing about this particular incident. So that happened in Brooklyn earlier today in Sunset Park, where there was a mass shooting. And at first they thought like bombs went off and things of that sort, but then they later recanted those statements and said that it was some sort of gas that was set off in the train. And I just want to talk about that. Like, to be honest with you, if you guys been keeping up with the podcast the past few episodes, I have touched on slightly the violence that's been going on in the city and things of that sort. But now to see this is really like on a whole nother level, right? Like, and when I say a whole nother level, just how like the randomness of this attack. People that are on their way to work, going to school, whereas the violence that we've been seeing recently has been or seemed to have been targeted towards a certain group of individuals, and then maybe someone may have got caught in the crossfire, that whole sort of thing. So this week's episode 10, is going to be titled "The Brooklyn Attack," and that's just what I'm going to call it. Not even just like the Brooklyn shooting. It really startled me, to be honest, and it really bothered me, because a lot of people's story was, I was on my way to work. It was rush hour. You got people on their way to work, people on their way to school. One lady that did an interview that I just saw actually right before I went live, she was saying that her kid got to school 10 minutes before the incident occurred. And he was on that same subway line. Now, to some people, 10 minutes might seem like a long time, like it might not seem that long. But when you really sit and think about it as a parent, right, as a parent or just somebody that has a loved one that was in that area, because I know a lot of people were contacting their loved ones. I was actually at work at the time. Yes, I have a day job, right? I was actually at work at the time, and there were a lot of people in the middle of work, like, "Hey, do you guys have anybody that lives in the New York City area in Brooklyn? Did you guys hear what happened?" And everybody's just kind of checking on their loved ones. So even though that kid got to school 10 minutes before that event happened, it just always makes you think, like, living in New York City, the one thing that we can always guarantee is that at some point you're going to miss a train, right? Could you imagine if that kid had missed that train, and just so happened to be on that cart where that happened, or on the platform when that happened? And they said that the guy got on the train. He was on the train. Some people said like he was acting a little, for lack of a better term, boo boo, right? And then he put a gas mask on, threw a few gas bombs or whatever, and then just started shooting, right? Like it from what we know so far, like, and I ain't gonna act like a news reporter or the NYPD, like I know exactly what's going on, but from what they've said so far, like there was no intention behind it. Like there was no like, okay, I'm looking for this specific person. Not only did this guy shoot randomly on the train, while everyone was blinded by this gas, like this guy had 3 clips with him, right? Like, and they said they found one empty clip, and then the second clip that he had shot some rounds out of that clip, but the gun jammed. So like the craziest part for me is like, damn, like if that gun didn't jam, some of those people that got injured could have been dead. Like some of those people that got injured could have really been dead. And that's just crazy to say. Like are people really that sick these days? And again, we don't know who it is, right? We don't know who it is, who it was, but are people really that sick these days, right? Like that you can get on a train and just start shooting randomly at people, like even if he was somebody, because some people are saying like, okay, he probably had like some sort of mental illness or something like that, right? Like even in that case, right? You got a mental illness. Like this is why mental illness is so important. This is why we need to check those sort of things when we know that there are people that have mental illness, and this is why people that have mental illness need to get the help that they need, because there are people who are out here that's going to work, going to school. Like, and me as a parent, like I got kids. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I have a nephew. I got not even just I have nephews. You get what I'm saying? Nieces, cousins, family members. Like, you get what I'm saying? None that live in that area, thank God. And to my knowledge, all of my family is safe, and no one was affected by that. But to hear 20 some odd people were hurt in some sort of way. Then they said some people were trampled, some people were hurt, from inhaling the gas, and then of course, you had the people who were shot and wounded. That's insane. That's insane. And not to add race into the equation, but they're now saying that the suspect was black. Who's black, 5'5". They said heavy set, gray hoodie, and I think a construction vest on top, somewhere along those lines. And people may look at this and think I'm trying to be funny for what I'm about to say, but like, damn, like we just had Will Smith smack Chris Rock on the Oscars, like, you know what I'm saying, and that was a worldwide event, and it was black people, like, you know what I'm saying, and then aside from that, in New York City, if you live in New York City, like, for a fact that these past few weeks or months have been really crazy. Like, well, whether you live here or not, like, even if you got family members that live here, if you're from here, you kind of keep up what's going around and stuff like that. But it's just so crazy. Like, and like John said in the comments just now, like the narrative about us is never gonna change. Like the narrative about us is never going to change if we keep this up. Because even though I know that these two things, from what we know, they don't seem to have any association, right? So I don't want to make it seem like it does. But just talking from a narrative perspective, right? These past few weeks, these past few months, like the shootings, people being injured, people being killed, like, and it's in our neighborhoods, like to the point where the genre like drill music, like at one point people were saying they want to ban it because the music is so violent. Like, and what they're trying to say now is that the violent music in association with the violent lifestyle, like that's what's kind of pumping what's going on, right? We got DJs saying that they don't want to play the music because people are using this music to kind of pump their beefs and stuff like that. Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, at what point is like enough going to be enough? Because at the end of the day, I got family out here, And I know a lot of y'all that's viewing or gonna be viewing, like, y'all have family out here. Like, who wanna have to go through something like that? So like for me, I just wonder, what was the guy's motive? Like that was my thing. Like my thing is like, what is this guy's motive? Um, a friend that I have on Facebook said, he made a live video that I stumbled on earlier, and he was basically saying like, hey, I'm not trying to be racist or anything like that, but to all my white people, like, y'all be safe out here, right? And he went on to say that, um, un- unfortunately, things like this, when we talk about these quote unquote attacks, right? Because at first we thought like there was like a bomb or something like that on the scene, right? So it was like, things like this don't happen in what people will call the hood, right? Like when people have these random shootings and stuff like that, right? And we all make jokes about it, right? When kids shoot up the schools and stuff like that, and we like, bro, stuff like that do not happen in the hood. Like we don't do stuff like that, right? And then when you think about these random just mass shootings, when people just pull out guns and just start shooting at random people, like stuff like that happen in Manhattan, right? Like predominantly white neighborhoods. Sunset Park, I wouldn't say it's a predominantly white neighborhood, but it's not a minority neighborhood. Minorities pass through the neighborhood, like, you know what I'm saying, but it's not a Brownsville, it's not a like East New York, it's not a, like, you get what I'm saying. It's not when we're talking about Brooklyn, right? Like it's not one of those areas that are predominantly like minorities, and stuff like that. So, just to go to the point, that I was talking about earlier, like, we all have to be aware of our surroundings, but like really be aware of our surroundings and be safe out here, because there's people out here that's doing stuff for no reason, right? From what we know, right? No reason. And then even if there was a reason, there was no reason for those 20 some odd people. Like, what did those 20 some odd people do to that person? Like, it just make no sense. Like, I don't know, like, what y'all think? Like for me, it just really make no sense, and it's scary. Like, it's really scary. Like, thank God I don't take the train, right? Like, thank God, like, and I don't say that to gloat, but I say that just like literally, thank God that I don't have to take the train. But that's not even the first incident that we've seen on the train in recent times where something crazy happened. Right? Like, there was a video circulating online, with a guy that walked up to a woman and smashed a bag of feces in her face on the train. That's crazy. You know what I'm saying? That woman probably going home to her family, like, just had a long day at work. Like, for all we know, she just worked a 12-hour shift. She could have been working an overnight. Like, shifts like that is crazy. I don't know if that lady just finished working a double. You know what I'm saying? Or like I don't know her life at all. You know what I'm saying? But to have to deal with stuff like that and you're just on your way to your destination is crazy. And I think that sometimes we really take for granted the small things, right? Last episode, John has said, I think that we really take for granted surviving the pandemic. Like, I think a lot of us take for granted surviving the pandemic with all of the millions of people that died, right? And sometimes, like, now looking at this situation, I think a lot of us take for granted just being able to come home, just being able to come home at the end of the day. Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, there are so many people that go outside and don't come back home for a bunch of different reasons, right? Like different things happen to different people, but something like this that's just so random, so heinous, so just heartless. Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, I think, like, we really have to appreciate, and I'm not saying that if you're listening to this you don't, but I think that we really have to keep it in mind and really appreciate, going outside and coming back in, right? Our kids going outside and coming back in, right? Because the only word I can think of to describe it is just crazy. Like when people get up in the morning, they get ready for work, they get their kids ready for school, and they're going on with their morning routine. Who would have thought? that something like this would have happened to their loved one, or something like this would have happened to them. And someone, I don't remember who it was that said it, but I personally don't think it was to this magnitude, right? So I wouldn't agree with them on that aspect. But they were saying that it reminded them of 9/11, in the sense of like when they showed the people getting off of the train, and the way the people were running, and just the fear that you can see in everybody's body language. It's it's crazy. Like it's really crazy. People were trying to get off the train from, like, or to the next cart, right, to go to the next cart, but the doors were locked. And then now they're saying that one of the bystanders, witnesses, have a video of the guy, so they know what he looks like. But if that bystander wasn't there, from what we know, they said that the cameras in the train station were malfunctioning, so they didn't even work. So imagine if that was all we had to depend on to figure out what this guy looks like, because at the end of the day, from what we know, that guy's still out there. That guy is still out there. I don't know what that man has access to. And at this point, we don't know where that man is. You know what I'm saying? Where is that man right now? That just randomly shot up a train car. Where's that man right now? How can I feel comfortable sending my kid to school tomorrow, knowing that there's a man like that outside? If I'm a parent in the New York City area, how can I feel comfortable? Because I don't know where that man is right now. And those are the little things, like I think, as for me, right? I'll say for me as a parent, like I think about those kind of things. You get what I'm saying? Like, not to be overly paranoid, but as a parent, it's my job to protect. So if I don't know where this man is, what this man is up to, you understand what I'm saying? Like I don't know where this man is, what he's up to, what his mindset is. He can be in any of the five boroughs at this point. And the only people, oh, they caught him. They caught him. Well, that's good to know. That's good to know. That's good to know. Like, because for me, I'm sitting here looking like bruh. And I'm still even now with that information that they caught him, like I still want to know why. Like I still want to know why. Like, why did those people deserve to be shot? You get what I'm saying? Like anybody that's shot, you have the possibility of being killed. That's just, it's just crazy to me. It's really just crazy to me that people have access to things like that. People have the ability to change your life in a split second, without you having any say in it. Right. I know that there are people out there that live a dangerous lifestyle, right? And especially with the music nowadays, you hear a lot of young people talking about ops, and they got ops and they want to catch the ops, and people, killing each other and stuff like that. Like, that's the type of things that these kids, like, they talk about in their music. That's the type of things that it really looks like these people are trying to perpetuate that and live like that, right? As far as killing and just making it unsafe for people, right? But even in those situations, like, it's sad to say, but it's true. If you got beef, so if you need to go outside with your gun, right? And I'm not saying that that's right, because to be honest with you, I'm sick of it. And I said this, maybe last episode, the episode before that. Like, y'all need a designated war zone, and y'all just need to, like, because it's not fair. It's not fair to the people that are sending their kids to school. It's not fair to the people that's going to work. But even them in their situations, this person has it out for you. You got it out for somebody, and that person you got it out for, know they got it out for you. But if I'm just going to work, If I'm somebody on the train, like, you know how hard it is to live in New York City? Can we just keep it real? Let's just keep it real. You know how hard it is to live in New York City? I'm already mad I'm on the train, right? Like, cause the pandemic itself hit hard. Every time the numbers shoot up, they shoot up in New York City first, right? So if I'm in New York City and I have to ride the train, I'm mad already, vaccinated or unvaccinated. Like, I still want my 6 feet. I'm mad I even got to be around all these people from jump. Even before the pandemic, if you from here, you already know, like, the train was just, if I don't get on the first two stops, I'm not getting a seat. Even if a seat do become available, the way people be jumping on them seats, it'd be like what musical chairs. Like, you get like, it's just like riding the train. Just it's never, if you on the train and it's hot outside, it's always too hot. If you on the train, it's cold outside, it's always too cold. Like, the train is just not somewhere that you want to be for most people, right? Tourists, they love it. Oh my God, New York City, I'm on the train, woohoo! But if you from here, I don't want to be on the train to begin with. Anybody, like, most people I know that ride the train want a car. So not only do I not want to be on this train, everybody in New York City, and I'm just laying down just the facts, right? Everybody from New York City, most people on the train is running late. So they moving like zoo animals already because everybody got somewhere to go. Everybody's running late. So not only do I have to deal with that during rush hour, somebody's like, gas fills up the train and somebody starts shooting. And then with everything that's going on overseas, like in other countries, and my train gets smoky, first I might think it's on fire, then I might think it's a terrorist attack. Now somebody starts shooting. Nah, that changes the game. That changes the game. I'm already tight. I got to be on this train, and now somebody's shooting. That's crazy. And I'm pretty sure none of the people that got shot had any idea when they got up that morning to go to wherever they were going, wherever their destination was. I'm pretty sure none of those people knew that they would get shot. Like, it's really it's at night, it's just really sickening. Like, I don't even know how else to put it. Like, for me, and y'all can answer this in the comments, if y'all up to it. Like, for me, what do you do? What can we do at this point? Like, at this point, what can we do? Because now at this point, not only is it so expensive to live here, that if you do live here, most of the time you can barely afford rent. They like rent out here is like $3,000 a month, no utilities included, for a cardboard box that's 3 inches. I can't afford the rent. If I do get something that fits in my budget or is cost effective, the neighborhood is horrible, and I want to get out of it. It's not that I don't have a degree, or it's not that I don't, like, my job is not quote unquote good. It's just so expensive to live here. So not only do, like, if I'm somebody who maybe lives in an unsafe neighborhood because it's all I can afford, not only do I have to deal with the fact that something can happen to me or my loved ones on any given day because y'all here acting stupid and just don't care about nobody but y'all ops. Like, it seemed like y'all love y'all ops, like, and I'm using because that's the term nowadays. It seemed like y'all love y'all ops more than y'all mothers. Like that's all y'all care about. So now I'm somebody that lives in an unsafe neighborhood that I want to get out of, and I got to deal with that then. But now to be on my way to my employer, to wherever I'm going, and get shot or get trampled on, that's crazy. That's crazy to be on your way to work. You get shot, you get gassed, or if you're one of the people that fell during this, and I feel bad, to be honest, I feel really bad for those people because could you imagine falling during a stampede? There's not, like, if you tripped and it was just regular rush hour, you might get somebody, a good Samaritan, to help you up. But somebody shooting and there's gas in the car, like on that cart, at that point it's survival of the fittest. And now that person gets ran over. We got 5 people at the time. Last time I saw the news, 5 people that were in critical condition. But they said they were critical but stable, so they was gonna survive. It's crazy. We got a comment on Instagram that said, "Bro, the sad part is it's only gonna get worse. Like somebody gonna do something to top today." That's in living out here. And I hate to say this. Like I promise you, I really hate to say this. Like, but the sad part about it is I wouldn't put it past. Like I wouldn't put that idea out of my mind that something worse than this can happen. Because that's just how it's just how people are doing things. It's just the type of things that people are doing now, and again it's whack because ain't nobody asked for this. You get what I'm saying? Like I ain't got no beef. I don't live life like that. Like if somebody say they got beef with me, no, you beefing by yourself. You just got an issue. I don't have problems. So I don't think about going outside like, yeah, let me make sure I got it on me. That's not fair. There was a kid, um, there was a kid that just got shot somewhere in Flatbush, I think it was. And I think it was like a drive-by shooting or something like that. It was a drive-by shooting, and the kid was in the car with a family member or something like that, and they stopped to eat their food, and I think they was like watching a movie or something like that in a car. And this recently happened, I want to say about a few weeks ago, and I apologize if I got the details wrong, but I know it was somewhere around that, like like that kind of scenario. There's a drive-by shooting and the kid gets killed, probably in the car eating chicken nuggets, singing Disney songs. Who want to live like that? Why is that fair to the other people, the other however many million people there is in New York? And like the comment said on Instagram, it's probably something that's gonna be worse than this. That's whack. That's whack, and it's unfair, and it's unfair on so many different levels. It's unfair on so many different levels for all the people that are bystanders, for all the people that got to go to work, for all the people that's just in their neighborhood living their daily lives, right? That's whack. And then, like we talked about earlier, like John said earlier in the comment, the narrative about us is never gonna change because it's sad to say, from what they're saying, this was a black man. So not only is the narrative that we kill each other, right? Let's just be honest, right? Let's keep it real. Not only is the narrative, right? I'm not saying that other races don't kill each other, right? But we can't ignore the fact that that's the narrative, right? Like let's not act like that's like we're clueless. So the narrative is we killing each other. The narrative is that we're animals. The narrative is that we don't know how to act in certain places. And now we're gonna add on top of that, like we doing Looney Tune stuff. We doing stuff that's not common for us. Like like I said just a second ago, like if a school gets shot up or something like that, I don't think all the black people I know don't think it's a black person or a black kid. I'm not gonna say what, uh, but we like that's just not stuff like stuff like that. Now we just adding on top of it. Now we really and again, even though it wasn't something to this magnitude, you just had a dude smack a dude on live television, and in the name of his wife, a black man, in the name of his wife, and then his wife said, "I'm my own woman. I can handle myself." or at least I don't know if that was a fake meme or something like that, but like, nah, I don't know who do this, but he making us look bad. Like really making us look bad, because we already have so much stacked against us. So now to add this to that, it's crazy. And if this guy did in fact have mental health issues, this is the reason why we absolutely cannot look past mental health. If you think, like, if you know someone, family member, I have a friend, I tell people this to this day, when my friend, he has mental issues. And when he first started showing signs of mental issues, I made excuses for it because I just couldn't believe that something was wrong with him. Like he was really like my brother. And then he got to a point where it got so bad that he just stopped coming around. And I guess that he didn't feel comfortable being around me while he was the way that he was mentally. And I told people, and I still mean this to this day, I felt like my brother died. To see him that lost, and his family, attempted to get him the help that he needed, and they're still actively, seeking the help that he needs and trying to get him the best help possible in order for him to be, um somebody that can function in society. But I tell that story to say, like, if you know someone that you feel like is struggling with mental health, it's not a game. It's really not a game. And again, I'm not saying that, but like, I know that dude was crazy or he had some sort of mental health issue. But if that is the case, this is why we got to take this stuff serious. This is why, if you know somebody that you have the slightest idea that they have any sort of psychosis, any sort of dangerous ideologies, like, we got to get these people help. Because at the end of the day, if it ain't you, it can be somebody else. If it's not your kid, it can be somebody else's kid. If it's not your mother, it can be somebody else's mother. So we got to figure out ways to if you can't get the person help, then you need to contact somebody that can get that person help. Like, and it's whack, right? Nay said on Facebook, she said sometimes people sometimes people in our color think they can try these things and get away with it. Negative. Once your color was identified, they're gonna make sure they go about above and beyond to find you. And that's a fact. That's a fact. I do believe that too. Like, sometimes people think like, I'm not them, so I can get away, with it. Right? That's what people think. And at the end of the day, you gotta realize it's just like a traffic stop, right? Like, I heard a joke on TikTok, right? I saw a video on TikTok, and it was a white gentleman, and he was saying that, oh, if a black person calls you a cracker, just let them say it, because we can say things that they can't say. And then he said, like, have a good day, officer. Right? And that was the joke, right? And that was the joke, right? But in all actuality, that's the truth for a lot of people. And we got to realize as a people that there's certain things that we just can't do, because, like Nate said in the comments, like, people are gonna go above and beyond to make sure that we get caught. People are gonna go above and beyond to make sure that we serve a penalty, and it'll probably be a steeper penalty than any of our other counterparts. Like, let's really be honest. But now when we have something like this that happens, what happens to the next person? And again, I don't want to put nothing out there like it is going to happen. But what happens to the next person with a book bag on that's on their way to school, and they feel like the kid, like, what if my kid is on his way to school and they feel like something in his bag looks suspicious? That's ammunition to say, well, he looks crazy, something in his bag looks funny, we don't want another shooting, let's take care of him. It's ammunition. It's ammunition that none of us asked for, and it's gonna affect so many people like it has already. This situation has already affected so many people's lives, just fearing for their loved ones, people being hurt, people being shot. Like I don't know what I would have did if one of my family members said, "Oh, I was on that train. Did you know that so and so was on that train and got shot?" That would have changed my life completely. My son, although he doesn't like, although I'm not in the New York City area, my son doesn't go to school in the New York City area. My son is almost at the age where he can take the train to school. Like if I lived out here, like the way my life would have changed if my son was on that train, that's crazy. It's crazy, and it's really the sad truth. And if we allow, if all right, I got a question, right? And I'm not even gonna keep rambling about this, right? I got a question. What would you do, right? And put this in the comments. What would you do to help stop violence in New York City? Like, what would you do? What can you do? Or is it one of those things like it's not my business, it's not my place? Like, is I feel like for a lot of people, they only care about the violence when it affects them. And that's just my opinion. I could be wrong. I'm not saying that's all people, but I feel like for a lot of people, it only matters when it affects them, or when it's something that's so crazy or so heinous that it could have possibly affected them. Like I feel like a lot of people nowadays really and truly only care about them, right? And even the people connected to them, like that's them. Like that's why they care about the situation, because it is connected to them. Like how do we slow something like this down? Because to be honest, we get people that get killed by police and we march. You think people are gonna march for this? We got like I just said, there was a story the other day where a kid just died in a car, stray bullet. And if I'm not mistaken, another kid just recently died. I just saw a post on somewhere on Facebook, I believe it was, where it was a woman, and I don't know. With nowadays with social media, you just don't know what's real. Like people make fake posts, and it's sad, and put captions on it because for likes. But it was something along the lines of like they killed my baby and they bragging about it. Why we don't march for stuff like that? Like I'm not saying that we wrong for marching for George Floyd. I'm not saying that we wrong for marching for Ferguson or Trayvon Martin. Or I'm not saying that we wrong for doing that. But why we not marching for that? Why we not coming against like people in our neighborhoods that's making our neighborhoods unsafe? A little surprised in the sense of I always thought that if somebody did something like what happened earlier on the train, right? And remember, I told y'all like somebody made like the 9/11 comparison, right? Like it felt like 9/11, not in the sense of like something got blown up, but just like the fear in everybody's body language when they was running around and just running in fear, right? I always thought like if something like that happened in New York City, I would have thought like some would have been like he would have had Tim's on his head before he can even start shooting. Like once he'd have put the gas mask on and he would have looked like he was about to toss something or he'd have reached for something, I'd have thought he would have had Tim's, scooters, bikes, like right on his head. Like that's and I'm just keeping it real. Like that's what I would have thought that. Like people know not to do stuff like that. Like I always thought that, like especially not in places that people call the hood. You can't come in the hood acting like that, even though Sunset Park is not the hood, right? I do just want to make that clear. Sunset Park is not the hood, but I just always thought like New York City, you can't do nothing like that in the city. Like you couldn't tell me that somebody can do something like that. If they jumped that man on that plane And during 9/11, I'm like, bruh, somebody came in the city acting like that. He ain't leaving the city. Now I'm not condoning violence, but I'm just surprised. And I'm just being honest. I'm just surprised. Because at the end of the day, it's I don't even think it's a fact of condoning violence or not. I think it's more so laws of nature, right? And if you don't know, first law of nature, self-preservation, right? And that's for all animals. I don't care what animal kingdom, what Sahara, what town, person. First law of nature is self-preservation. When you put somebody's back on the wall, now it becomes fight or flight. Plain and simple. Kill or be killed, right? Like that's how it is for animals. For animals, is kill or be killed. For people, because we're from what people say, we're not animalistic, so they do the fight or flight thing. I didn't think New York City had no flight in us, right? I thought as soon as that gas mask came on, or he even moved funny, he'd have, like I said, Tim's right on him. He'd have had Tim marks on him right now, Timberlands. But at the end of the day, it's hard to say because in that situation, there's fear. And everybody not built like that, right? Like we don't know who was there, or maybe the person that would have initiated and put the Timbs on his head was all the way on the other side of the cart. Like when people fear for their life, they react in different ways, especially if you see a gun. Especially if I'm somebody that's never seen a gun. Only thing I'm thinking is I don't want to die today. So I guess I guess it really could go both ways. Um Nikki said in our comments, people are probably looking at the first person that was shot like, oh, maybe they had beef. That's possible too. Especially because, like we just said, New York City has been really violent recently, like really violent recently, right? And then Nikki also said, and one thing people don't do is get involved. That's another fact. So as much as they play that recording on the train, if you see something, say something. I think it's a known fact that most people don't say nothing. Right? There's a particular group of Karens that are gonna say something. But 9 out of 10, if you see something, you don't say something. Right? And this is why we have so many recordings online of people fighting, of different things happening, and nobody's doing nothing. And people are so upset, like, oh, you had your phone out, but you didn't do nothing. But like Nikki said, that's most people's mentality. Like, that's not my business. What you want me to do? Right? Especially, now let's really keep it real, right? Because people like to say, oh, why that person didn't do nothing? They had their phone out and they didn't do nothing. Especially if it's a situation where it could be life or death. I know the moral thing would be to help that person. But there are a lot of people who are thinking to themselves, I need to go home to my family. And as sad as that may sound, and as wrong as that may sound to a lot of people, that's a lot of people's mentality. You get what I'm saying? Like if, again, I said I got kids. If I help you, and let's say you do survive, and I don't, are you now gonna come take care of my family? And that's a lot of people's thought process. If, let's say, for example, you see somebody on the train, on the street, getting jumped, and you help them. Now every time you walk down this block, you got a problem. So now again, people say when you see something, say something. People not saying nothing because they don't want no parts of that. So I do see that point, Nikki. Like, as far as, even though New York City is one of those places where people really don't play, like they really don't. At the same time, people don't want to get involved in nobody else's stuff. So like Nikki said, it's a possibility that maybe the closest person to them, they felt like maybe him and that person had an issue, and they was like, "Well, nah, let me get out of here. I don't want no parts of this." Like they did an interview with one of the people that was on the train. The guy was saying that at first he thought it was fireworks. Like he thought it was fireworks until he saw one of the people that got shot. He saw they was bleeding, and he was saying that he thought to himself like, "Nah, there's no way fireworks could have did that. There's no way." So like for me, my prayers um, definitely go out to everybody that was affected by that, whether it was somebody that was injured, whether it was somebody that was shot and injured in multiple ways, because some people inhaled the gas, some people got trampled, some people probably just got injured. Like I could imagine that somebody ran into a pole. Let's really keep it real, right? Like I could imagine that somebody was running, looked back to make sure nobody was on their tail and ran into a pole. Like I wouldn't be surprised, right? And then not even just for the people that were injured, but even just everybody that was involved. PTSD is a real thing, right? And if you don't know, PTSD stands for post traumatic stress disorder. Now, I'm not a doctor or psychiatrist. I just know what it means and I have a general idea of what it is, right? And and the two three first acronyms, right? Post traumatic stress. So after a traumatic stress disorder, there are people that were in that vicinity that may never be able to take a train again. There will be people that probably won't be able to sleep at night, right? And my prayers really, that's why I say like not even just the people that were injured severely or just minorly or no matter what the severity of their injury was, like I don't just pray for those people, but everybody that was involved in that, because that's stressful. That's another level of stress. Like really another level of stress that I feel like that nobody should have to deal with on your way to a destination. Right? It would be different. Like it would be different. Like if you were somebody that was just living a dangerous lifestyle, you got beef, you gotta like be on the lookout. But if you somebody that's just going to work, going to school, it's not fair. Nikki said exactly. And people have to take the train to go to work. They probably don't want to take the train again. The DMV about to be packed. Everybody going to get their permit at this point because we can't trust mass transit. Because we can't trust the people. It's a shame. It's a shame. And this situation was so sad for me, and it really touched me being the person that I am and loving people the way that I love them, having kids and a family and loving them the way that I love them. Like, I had a totally different just direction I wanted to go. Like, but I felt like I needed to talk about this. Like, and John just said something crazy on Instagram, right? He said, bro, when I was on the train, I literally used to sleep my whole ride. Imagine. Like, could you imagine? I've done that before. I've been dead tired from work or even on my way to work, especially in my younger days. Like, when you stay up a little later than you should stay up and you go to work dead tired and you sleep on the train. Like, I've slept on the train. Could you imagine? Nah, that's crazy. That's crazy. I couldn't imagine. Like, I literally couldn't imagine because now I'm knocked out. So I don't know what's going on. Waking up just lost. It's crazy and it's really unfortunate. Like, it's really unfortunate. So my prayers definitely go out to all of the people that was affected by that, and their families, because they're gonna need their family support to really just get past this situation, right? So my prayers go out to them, goes out to their families. Um, Next week, I want to talk about something that another topic that I wouldn't say is sensitive, but it was a topic that really meant a lot to me. right? This topic really meant a lot to me. And next week's episode is the title is going to be Men and the Women in the Mother Womb. Men in the Mother Womb, right? And when I say the mother womb, not necessarily a mother's womb, like where the baby comes from, but a wound like an injury. Um, there are a lot of men out here, and I think a lot of the times we put a lot of the blame on um, when it comes to parenting and the effects that a bad parent has on a kid. I'm not saying that all the blame and mothers never get this blame, but a lot of the blame goes on the dad, especially because in minority communities, there at one point was a big absence of the black father. So a lot of the blame when it comes to parenting and just mental effects growing up went on the dad. But there are a large majority of men that had mothers in their lives that may have been just something as simple as told something. And a lot of you women, although you may not have gone through this with your mother, or I can say that women nowadays, and I've talked to family members, women and friends that will say their boyfriends, right? When y'all pillow talking, when you're really getting to know this man, you're starting to see like, wow, like there were things that happened in his house with his mom, like that still affect him to today. Like still affect him to today. Things that she said, and you and in your mind you would think like it was just something that like should have just, but they affect they affect what a woman's words, his a man's mother, her words can affect a man in a way that no one will ever be able to affect him. And I think that that's so true on so many different levels, and I definitely think that is something that I want to talk about because I've already heard like adverse opinions, like the people that may not quite believe that, right? Or may just have a different take on it, right? And think that maybe it might be the kid, right? And maybe the way that I don't know, the way that they perceive things, right? But definitely something that I want to talk about, um, something that I've seen firsthand, right? So that's next week's episode. This one, I know it's a little earlier than an hour, but I really didn't want to drag this one for too long. Um, it's one of those things where it just, this is one of those things like it really just is what it is. It's not really much to unpack. Um, I just really wanted to see y'all opinions on it. Um, give myself a chance to talk about it and give my opinion on it and just kind of see like how can we grow past violence? How can we grow past senseless violence? What kind of things, like what are the conversations going to be like with your family members tomorrow? Right, when they go out, when they got to go outside, like and they take public transportation, like what are the conversations going to be like for the parents that have kids that take public transportation? And it may not be the end of the R train, but this could have happened anywhere, right? Like what are those conversations like, right? So I just wanted to get y'all take on that, really, really and truly. And then next week, like I really hope that y'all all tune in because I really, really I can't express how much I really want y'all opinions on this because again, we always talk about the other side of the fence as far as like how fathers affect sons growing up, or the absence of a father affects sons growing up. But for me, I feel like we really don't talk about how mothers affect men growing up, and even mothers that are there, right? Like I'm not even just saying like absent mothers, but just in general, like what type of effects does that have on men or just children in general, right? Um, my T-shirt, if you like this, right? Vibe different, vibe different clothing. It's Vibe Different Clothing on Instagram. It's a very good friend of mine. Vibe Different Clothing on Instagram. I believe it's vibedifferentclothing.com. Don't quote me on that, but when this video is over, I'm gonna put the website in the caption. There's a bunch of different stuff there, not just t-shirts, hoodies, sweatsuits, long sleeves, hats. The colorways, like the colors are so unique. The shirts, the sweats, everything is like super comfortable. And it's really thoughtful. Like the entire brand is like well thought out, down to the stitching, down to the material. You guys definitely will like it. Um, and I like my shirt particularly because it's like a stretch material. So I was a little smaller when I got this shirt, but when I blew up a little bit, I was still able to fit it, and it make me look a little swole a little bit. So yeah, I love shirts like that have soft material and stuff like that. So when you blow up, if you get two sizes too small, and then even when I lose my stomach, matter of fact, I gotta text my accountability partner after this. When I lose this stomach, like I said, y'all finna be sick of me. Y'all finna be sick of me, cause I need to get this summer body together. I don't know about y'all, but summer's coming. Nah, I'm not even gonna say summer body. I'm gonna say life body. Right? I need to get my life body together because I don't want a nice physique for summer. I want to be healthy for life. Because I got people that need me and I want to be there, and that's definitely not facts. I just want to let y'all know I'm also my co-host who couldn't be here. Um, he think he could hoop. I'm definitely gonna cook him. I'm gonna live stream the game in the summertime so y'all can see it. Yeah, but I'm gonna cook him. They said she definitely worked out today and yesterday. LOL, she feeling it right now. Hurt. I'm telling you know what, but once you get past that hurt, like once you get past that hurt and like and you're consistent, it's like one thing I can say, like when I get past that initial hurt from working out, it's like the best feeling ever. Like because now when I work out, I don't feel hurt no more. I feel energized. Like after I be feeling like I could run through a wall or something. Like my body feels stronger. But them first few days, sometimes like I've even been sore for like a week. Like to be honest, like there's even been times where I worked out and I was sore for like a week. Like, but after that phase is over, nah. But I can't never be no muscle head. Like I'm already struggling with a neck. Like you get what I'm saying. So I can't. I gotta like worry about stuff like my shoulders getting too big and stuff like that. So yeah, like for me, it's just for life. It's just for life. Trying to be healthy. I got kids that need me, family that need me. Um, or maybe not all of them need me. Some of them just like me. But there's definitely people like somebody needs you, right? So take care of you. Be safe for you. Look out for you. Pay attention to your surroundings. Like, cause, bruh, what happened today could really happen to anybody. Like anybody. But for me, I ain't gonna lie, it was really cool. It was really cool sitting and chatting with y'all today about this topic. And I really can't wait to talk to y'all tomorrow. Not tomorrow. Ooh, I'm tripping. About Tuesday's topic. Because I think that Tuesday's topic is gonna be super dope. Like I think Tuesday's topic is gonna be dope. Sidebar: I'm having a game night next Saturday. That's gonna be fun. Can't wait. Was it Friday? Next Friday? Saturday? Next Saturday game night? I think. Yeah, that's gonna be mad fun. I'm gonna ask y'all some game suggestions next week, and if you got my phone number, you can text me some game suggestions for real. All right, yeah. So, that wraps up episode 10. Oh, for real? See, I don't be knowing. I don't be knowing. See, somebody just told me the date changed, so I don't know what day it is, but I know game night is next week someday. I don't know what day it is, but see, everybody know and I don't know. Ain't that something? How I don't know, like, but got you. All right, so that wraps up episode number 10, the Brooklyn Attack. Again, my prayers go out to everybody that was affected by that event. Y'all be safe out here in these streets. For real. Hug the people that you love. Tell them that you love them. Although nobody passed, it really, for me, opened up my eyes to the idea that somebody that I love could leave and not come back, or leave, or and have that fear of them being seriously hurt or injured. So hug the people you love. Tell people you love them, because at the end of the day, like, you just never know, right? And let's just continue to help build each other, help grow. It's conversations like this that's really gonna, help us get to the next place that we need to go, right? And last but not least, do not forget that a better me equals a better we. I'll see y'all next week, Tuesday at 8 p.m. Y'all have a great night.